I have high hopes that one day we will be a little bit more circular, and I believe that some empires will ultimately, finally fucking fall. Finally, after so many years. That's what we're seeing.
Welcome back to another brand new episode of Innersleeve right here on SoundMojo, the podcast taking a behind-the-scenes look at all things music. I'm Cassius Morris, Joe Pacheco on the line with me as always. Joe, what's going on?
As I always say, not much, but that literally is code for somebody save me. There's just so much to do.
Blink if you need something into the camera. That's the code.
That's it. Yeah, blink, 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 you know.
No doubt. It's good to be back though, man. Exciting episode here for episode number 64 of Innersleeve. Now, for all the metalheads out there, rock fans, this is a huge one. And no doubt you probably know who this guy is just from looking at him, or at least by his name. Very happy to be joined by Tobias Forge, the mastermind and frontman of Ghost, on today's episode of the show. And Joe, this wasn't a run-of-the-mill conversation just about, music and process, which is always great. This went a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah, this was like literally calling in from tour, right? He's on tour.
Yep.
We'll ask the audience to excuse maybe the some of the background noise as like a beep, beep, beep going on all the time. It almost makes you think like he's in outer space orbit, There's like a NASA kind of like sound in the back.
You never know with him.
Yeah, I know. But going back to the conversation, like definitely a mature conversation, like not the typical, like you said, run of the mill, okay, new album, this and that. It's more like the subject matter and like his whole concept idea.
No doubt. Definitely a very intricate guy in terms of the way that he thinks, and just very fascinating always to hear insight from him. So we're going to jump into that. But real quick before we do, just a little reminder to make sure to check in with us on all social media. We're all across the web at SoundMojo. From our daily posts of On This Day in Music to our polls to our community tabs, you're not going to want to miss anything. And all the links you need are in the description below, including to our merchandise, which is super, super comfortable, if I may say so myself. We got our crew necks, our t-shirts. Joe, we got phone cases, pillowcases,
hats, beanies,
everything, man.
Yep.
And that is all in the description below. So make sure to check in with us all across the web at SoundMojo. Twisted Sister frontman Dee Snider, of course, an Innersleeve alumni who's been a guest on this show. He has some choice words, I guess, in support of Ukraine, which is very, very good to see. Now, what's the scoop over here, Joe, with this story?
Well, he basically, the people have been using Twisted Sister's anthem of "We're Not Going to Take It" to support Ukraine, right? And he is in favor of that. He wants to support Ukraine, and he's giving them green light to use the song.
Which is very cool. And Dee jumped in on Twitter for a couple of comments. The first tweet reading, "People are asking me why I endorse the use of 'We're Not Going to Take It' for the Ukraine people and did not for the anti-maskers. Well, one use is for a righteous battle against oppression. The other is an infantile feet stomping against an inconvenience." And then he continues to discuss the manipulation of headlines and his true motivations in this, but Dee overall, I think, seeming proud that his music is part of this, and that's a pretty big thing.
Yeah, and it made me laugh when I read that, one use is for a righteous battle against oppression, the other one is feet stomping against inconvenience, this is back when the masking stuff, and it made me laugh. I chuckled, like, this guy is just always on the ball.
He's a funny guy. Yeah, listen, I think that's a good way to put it. And in terms of Dee, just a true consummate entertainer. I don't think there's anything this guy does from writing to radio to television where he's not entertaining. And he's truly a pro at what he does.
And everything, like just the words, this guy, like words of wisdom, even when he was on the show, like, it's just like, I was trying to clip every sentence to make a clip out of it because everything is so clip worthy, as we say.
No doubt. He's a fountain of wisdom, that guy. And there's a reason he is still relevant to this day. So a huge shout out to Dee Snider. Former longtime drummer of Dream Theater, Mike Portnoy, got a very unique experience the other night in New York City when he got to attend his first Dream Theater show. Now, Joe, maybe I should let you jump in here because I know that you're a big fan of these guys.
Well, you see the smile on my face, it's just, it's
Yeah.
like, it's good to see almost like a family reunion. Not only is like alumni, but he's the founder. Like him and John Petrucci are the founders of Dream Theater, like 37 years ago. I'm embarrassed to say that because I've been following them for most of that time. But yeah, no, it was so good to see because like it was heartbreaking when, you know, in 2011 or 10 when he decided to split because he was on tour with Avenged Sevenfold and he decided to leave the band for whatever reason. And then fast forward to like this weekend and like you get to see these guys together, taking pictures together, selfies. They got to like hang out afterwards. And, you know, even like with Mike Mangini, the drummer now for Dream Theater, which, I mean, Mike is a beast of a drummer, but like if you watch Mangini, it's like, what just happened? You know, this guy's like one drummer to watch. But it's great to see that they're like, you know, getting back together, family kind of reunion and stuff. It's also like bittersweet in the sense that like, man, I would love to see him play in the band again, you know, but
no doubt.
He did last 2020. John Petrucci released a solo album, like instrumental album, and he played on that. So it was the first time in years that they had played together on an album.
Wow.
But what are your thoughts of this? Like,
I think it's super cool. I mean, first of all, as an audience member, I mean, I can only imagine you're going to see the band and then one of the ex guys that, you know, is obviously going to be one of your favorites shows up in the crowd. I mean, I would almost feel like I had to do a double take, like I was seeing a mirage or something. Like, oh, I'm silly you had too many beers before the show. You thought you're sitting next to Mike Portnoy. You know, like, I mean, it would be hard to believe.
Yeah, no, totally, man. I've met him a few times. I've had the opportunity to meet him a few times going to shows because, you know, it was like, I would be there like 3 hours before the show, stay until one in the morning waiting outside the bus to get another autograph or hang out with them again. But yeah, definitely like, you know, when I saw this come across my feed on Saturday, I was like, what am I seeing here? Like, is this like old stuff? But they're, you know.
Yeah. And they didn't just have him sit out there. They actually acknowledged him during the show. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was going to play this video for you. You know, exactly. It was so cool that they shouted him out and he waved back. And that's, I think, obviously alerts the entire audience that the guy was there, you know, which
people coming for pictures all night probably after that.
Oh, for sure. They come anyway, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll just play some video here.
Crowd goes crazy.
I've been pointing at this guy all night. In this fucking
Anyway, it was great to see this, and like James Labrie, you know, singer of Dream Theater, fellow Canuck.
Epic.
Yeah.
What would you say is the best starting point for someone who I'm ashamed to admit I'm not super deep into the Dream Theater catalog? Where would you recommend a guy like me to start?
Wait, where's the eject button over here? Is there an eject button? I can eject you.
Yeah, throw me out of the call.
Just kidding.
Should have never said that.
Yeah, for me personally, like it has to be Images and Words, which is their second album. That's the one that got me. That was the hook. It's never left, that hook. The one after that would be Awake, which is a little heavier, more like they were performing in a studio together, like live off the floor. That was great. It was the first time they started introducing 7-string, so the lower string into Dream Theater music. And then I was sad again when the keyboardist left on that tour. Kevin, I forgot his name now. I forgot his name anyway. And then so I would say that for me the next one would be 2003's. Damn, I'm drawing a blank now. But hang on, let me search this up quick. Dream Theater. This is real time over here.
That's it.
What was it called?
Pull that up, Jamie.
It's Discography. I don't know why, man. Like it's like one of the cool. They reverted back. I mean, every album is good. Like that's the thing with Dream Theater. You know, once you're in, I think you're always in. Train of Thought. That's like another one.
Train
that
of
one
Thought.
Went killer sounding album, super dry, just like no nonsense heavy metal. So I would suggest Awake, Images and Words, and Train of Thought for anybody getting it. But like.
You're like every album is what I recommend.
Yeah. But like Train of Thought is almost 20 years old. I can't believe that. So it's like there's a lot of albums after that. So like don't just like, you know, they have a lot of albums for you, man. Like so definitely start with Images and Words. I think you'll enjoy.
Beautiful. I knew I found the right person to ask.
You can't stop me talking about it. That's the thing.
Rap superstar Drake has just shocked the world with yet another illustrious purchase. And I gotta say, Joe, this dude has been topping himself time after time, from betting hundreds of millions on crypto and sports betting to acquiring houses. It seems like this guy can't really be stopped right now.
I don't know, man. When I see these when I see these like 6, 7, 8 figures, it's like it freaks me out. It freaks me out, like where this guy came from, like Toronto, you know?
It's insane. Same country as us and same sort of mindset. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Drake just inked an off-the-market deal for a Beverly Hills estate. And this is coming from Robbie Williams, who was the original owner, of course, the X Factor judge and singer. I think mostly known in the UK kind of thing, or maybe if he's known here, I don't really know him.
No, he was. He was really popular in the 90s, I remember, early 2000s. But honestly, like I haven't kept up, and I don't know if he still actually is an artist or still putting out stuff. That's how splintered the music industry has become, you know?
No doubt. Well, I mean, we definitely know he's doing well financially, at least. So he was looking to move this house for $80 million, and he settled for $50 after failing to find a buyer. Now, it is reported in this story, and I'm not sure if this is accurate, that this was Drake's first official real estate purchase in Los Angeles. Now, while this may be true, he does have the title to at least 3 other properties. I'm not sure if he officially has bought them. So again, I'm not sure about that detail. But Drake is also in the process of selling those. So he has what he calls the YOLO estate in Calabasas, and he also bought the 2 neighboring houses. So technically he's got his name on 4 houses in California. I mean, if you couldn't tell, I'm pretty impressed by this.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is like 25,000 square feet. He has 50,000 square feet at home, right? And this thing, like, what does it say here? It says it has, what was it? It's like, yeah, exactly. There you go. 25,000 square feet, 10 bedrooms, and a staggering 22 bathrooms. So if you have to go, there should be availability for you to go.
You got options. You'll never have to run to the bathroom. You'll probably be in one, and you won't even know it.
Screening room, gym, game room, elevator, tennis court.
And what was Robbie saying? I think if we just go lower, he was saying something creeped him out about the place.
Yeah, apparently he was suggested that it was haunted, like, and it gave him the creeps. But
I think LA is haunted. I don't think there's anywhere in LA that you can avoid weird, bad vibes. I mean, and that's the thing that sort of takes away from this. I mean, I think this property would have been a much better purchase and vastly cheaper, by the way, in just about any other state. I think that I don't understand the whole moving to California right now thing.
Well, like if you think New York, an apartment can run you, like a serious apartment can run you a couple of million in New York. So these are definitely high real estate places. But I mean, California, man, those roads, the ocean, pretty much anywhere you want, right? Like look at the size of this place. You pretty much have your own city.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's definitely an incredible place. It's just, it's crazy to think that it probably would have been like 20 million in Georgia. You know what I mean? And it's I don't know, California, risky business right now, but
yeah, exactly. But I mean, he did say he sold it for 50 million. He wanted 80, but he bought it for 32 million. So he still made
I think Robbie's the real winner here, to be honest.
Yeah, because he bought it in 2015 for 32.67 million. So in 7 years, he made $15 million profit.
Jesus. Wow. Well, hey, congrats to Robbie. I think that, again, like we say, that is the real winner in this deal. Drake is on his little escapade to do whatever, but Robbie is the winner, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, if real estate stays the same way, I mean, it's going to keep going up. So I'm sure, hopefully, Drake makes a profit off of it too.
Now, John Mayer has just come out with a pretty big announcement, and this is sort of a dual announcement between himself and Columbia Records. After 21 years and 8 studio records, John Mayer and Columbia are going to be parting ways. Joe, what's the scoop here?
Yeah, this was interesting. I'm just like scrolling through Instagram, and I get this gray square, and it's John Mayer, and I'm reading, wow, he parted way with Columbia Years, like the only label he's been on for 21 years. A great label because, I mean, look how they've supported this guy throughout like 3 different genres of music and like, his whole career. And I'm just wondering, like, for me, the question why I wanted to bring it up is like, what's next for John Mayer? Because he says he's more into music than he's ever been. And I think he just wants to, I don't know, like I'm speculating like as to like, now he can go do whatever he wants, when he wants, with whoever he wants. So, I mean, a guy like him, who's still relevant 20 something years later, if not even better than he ever was.
Yeah.
he could do what he wants. Like, I wonder if he would sign with somebody if he's going to get an interesting deal, or if it's just like, nah, man, it's going to be contract per contract every song. Like, so if I do a song with featuring someone, or I play on somebody's song, and it's going to be that one contract, So like, he can own his own masters at this point because he has a phenomenal audience that's just been following him forever.
He certainly does. And I mean, it's good to speculate, I think, what he will do. I mean, one thing I know about him that's not overly publicized is that for the past decade, he's been heavily involved in production and working on live stuff and studio stuff for other artists.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's in that stuff, it seems like he prefers to really take the background, take the back seat. Like, I literally was watching a Frank Ocean performance on SNL, and I noticed that the session guitarist in the back, I was like, that's John frickin' Mayer. But he wasn't standing up there. He didn't want spotlight. He just wanted to be part of the background of the music. So I know he's had a lot to do with SNL, and he's done a lot of stuff like that. So I think you're right, Joe. I think we could probably see John Mayer jumping more into the behind the scenes, but maybe fostering that love for music in a different way.
Have you followed his career at all?
Not really. I like him. I've got the chance to see him live in concert. I actually went with my grandma as like a little grandma date, whatever.
Oh, nice.
And we had a great time. Yeah, it was fun. Totally fun. But no, I think he's impressive. How about you, though? Was he a guy you really were into when he first came out?
Good question. That's exactly what it should be. Like, it's funny because he ended up on, this is how first time I heard of John Mayer was on a Guitar One magazine cover. And the reason why is because my buddy, Dominic, was on the cover too. And so was Derek Trucks. And these are like 3 guitar players to look out for, in the future. And like, they nailed it on the head with John Mayer and everything, right?
No doubt.
So I checked out his stuff, but like, it was all, the very poppy, acoustic-y kind of stuff. And it was always good. I always liked it. I never dug deeper into it, until I heard Neon, when like, man, his acoustic guitar technique, I'm like, wow, this guy's like not just a singer-songwriter, this is like a good musician. And then obviously when he came out with Gravity, that album, that just like,
he was out of here from there, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's when like, I honestly think that's like obviously a pivotal record, but I think that's the one where all the people like me were sort of like, okay, we got to watch this dude. Like, this guy's serious.
He won you over.
Yeah, pretty much, man. His guitar playing, his songwriting, his vocals. Like, I love everything about like that album and the albums after that as well. I've seen him twice. I went once with a fever. Like, I was.
You were like, I'm not missing this.
I put my hoodie on. I sat down. I was side stage. It was a perfect view, and I got to see him, and I loved every minute of it. Felt like crap going home. And then I saw him again in 2017 for the In Search of Everything tour, and man, it's like one of those rare shows. Like, I've seen enough shows in my life that it's like, okay, it's another show. I love seeing this band. I love whatever. But this guy during the show was like, I want to come back tomorrow and see it again. I want to come back tomorrow and see it again. Like, I would go
He's
anytime. Phenomenal performer, man. Like, and just like, he was a bit of like in Hothead, or like, with the whole earlier on in his career. But you see how he sort of like left LA, and then like everything has been going really well for him, and like you said, he's doing guest appearances and writing songs for other people, and I'm sure there's stuff we don't even know about that he's written or worked on, because it's like you said, it's not advertised, it's not featuring John Mayer.
That's the thing, he's not grabbing for that. And I mean, to add to that, I think his respect for the music too is very evident. I mean, seeing him do little things with like BB King before he passed, I don't know if he's still alive, but just stuff like that, and like he is interested in, like you're saying, not only playing it, but continuing it and innovating his instrument. And I think that's what sets him apart, because you're right, there were so many, here today, gone tomorrow singer-songwriters that came out at that time. He's one of the very few that has stuck. So I think it's definitely worth noting. And
that's what I'm saying, because like when I was here, it was Montreal, like, and I wasn't expecting like a full, because like in Montreal they don't play John Mayer songs on the radio anymore, right? Like they just don't, like it's rare. It's all the pop stuff now, whereas before they were playing that song off that album, I Want to Change the World or something, I forgot what it was, and I was like, I got so sick of it because it was just always every day 3-4 times on the radio. But the rest of the album I love it. And but that's what I'm saying, like, I wasn't expecting such a big crowd, dude. It was sold out, full house, like I was like, wow, this is John Mayer, it's full, man. Like, he's not even on the radio here.
It's insane. Timeless.
Well, that's it. That's what a true sign of a true artist, I find.
As promised, we have a fantastic guest today on Innersleeve. We're going to go catch up with Tobias Forge of Ghost, and we're going to be back after this chat with a few takeaways. Enjoy. Tobias, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
100%. You're wrapping up the tour currently with Volbeat, the co-headline tour in Phoenix tonight, Anaheim tomorrow. What's the verdict on this tour? How has it treated you guys up until the end here?
I think it's been fantastic. For a tour that was doomed not to happen, I think it was phenomenal. And judging by all the people that shows up and seems to be enjoying themselves, and also knowing that many of them hasn't been outside their door for 2 years, I think it's been really good. So, and also, it's a pre-album co-headline tour, so it's obviously not everything it will be. So it has been a phenomenal start of our, impending album cycle. I mean, technically the album cycle has started because we're now on tour, but yeah, great way to kick off.
Beautiful. In terms of the record, the new record, of course, called Impera, this was initially conceived back in 2013 based on the book The Rule of Empires, those who built them and those who endured them and why they always fall. Now, just curious, what is your interest with, past empires and sort of content of that nature?
I think that and this is not to sort of yank any credit from anyone, but the idea was not inspired by reading the book. It was seeing the title of the book in the bookstore.
Right.
I've always been interested in history. I've always been interested in social, let's just say politics, and politics and religion and how all those things fit together. And it doesn't take even half a brain to sort of be a little in tune, just watching the world to sort of be aware of a little bit about it. And when I saw the title of that book in 2014 in a bookstore in Seattle, I just knew that I know what the book was about just seeing the title, because it's a theme that I'm interested in. And I just knew that at some point I want to make a record about the empires falling, but also sort of painting a picture like an inside of an empire with its suicidal mechanisms and warts and all. And it felt like a completely different theme from the other record that I had in mind at the time, which was going to be the Plague record. Where the Plague record was more about the singular person in a more medieval sort of society being threatened almost carnally rather than structurally, if you will. Empire was not about the little person's physical annihilation, but more lifestyle annihilation or soul annihilation. So in my head, they were two different themes that motivated me to write two different records.
I was wondering, how do you decide? Is it just inspiration, how you feel, or how the songs come along? How do you decide what era or what subject matter you decide to go with for the album? Because I know you do concept albums, but not in the traditional, show tunes kind of concept albums, but more just about the subject.
Yeah, it's more like the way that an Iron Maiden album would be thematical. It's here's a record that deals with the concept of time. A little bit future, a little bit of past, a little bit wasted time, a little bit about time lapse. It's just a way to write 40 minutes of rock and roll. So it's not Tommy. It's not like a story. It's more like a frame of mind. It's a mindset rather. So it's loose themes combined with a visual theme, but something that I feel is important, or it's nice to shine a light on.
Is it interesting that today, like you could see empires rise and fall in the past, but today we almost see it like in real time.
Yeah. No, I believe in. I believe that we have tricked ourselves in our modern Western society, where, be it if we're religious or not, but we are still quite linear when it comes to our sort of belief systems. And I think that we did ourselves a great disservice when we became embracive of linear religion, because that has made us believe that life starts here and ends there, and then everything that happens afterwards is determined someplace else. Whereas in your circular belief systems in Shinto and Buddhism and Hinduism and others, they have a bigger respect for the circularity of things. And I think that we should phase out linear religion and the linear belief systems and just fully embrace and understand that everything is circular. Things go around in circles. We believe that barbarism and religiosity and war and all those things were that was something of the past. That's when people were stupid. That's when people were, thought the world was flat.
Yeah.
That's when, they, you organized people against the liberation of women and all that. And now we know that, wow, that's really contemporary. That's really what happens. There are mechanisms within the empire that are set to destroy it and to turn time back, create a time machine, basically throwing us back 100 years. Where I try to throw the world back 500 years to some sort of medieval world. There are mechanisms within our Western empire that wants to set the clock back 100 years. I would love to go back to 1985. I miss the shit out of VCRs and blockbusters and record stores and all that. I'd love that. I'm as nostalgic as the Russian dictator. He wants to go back to KGB regimen because that was his best days of his life. He loved gray skies, I guess. I don't know what he likes, but he's also a nostalgic person. I have high hopes that one day we will be a little bit more circular, and I believe that some empires will ultimately, finally fucking fall. Finally, after so many years. That's what we're seeing.
No, this is so true. Real quick on your Papa character, or I should say persona, an ever-evolving persona, different titles here and there, and of course different looks. Will there ever be a final evolution of Papa where this is, so to speak, his final form, or is this going to be something that continues to evolve through your entire career?
I don't know.
Interesting. So it's just however you feel based on that moment.
Maybe not at the heat of the moment. It will always be a premeditated sort of choice. But I think that there will come a time when, as with anything, going back a little bit to what we just spoke about, circularity of things and just embracing aging and embracing how things usually are, is that we have been a new band for quite a long time. Even longer than we should have been. We're not a new band anymore. We've been touring for 12 years. We're sort of veterans by the old standards. But just because we're not an old band, people think that we're a new band.
Right.
But that's fine. I mean, I understand that time is counting in a different way now than it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago or 20 years ago. I also know that as any other band on the planet, there will come a time when we will not be as successful and we will not be looked upon as something that's making anything new or relevant. We will become a heritage band if we're still around. And there will come a point when a new record will not mean anything. Luckily, right now, releasing a new record, our fifth, means something. People are still interested in talking about it. And it spurs a certain deal of excitement. But that is not going to last forever, and there will come a point where we basically are asked to repeat what people like. We will become a heritage nostalgia act. And maybe that will be a time where I don't have to be a 30-year-old dressing up to look older, but I might be old enough to look like that. And maybe some of my old man noises are completely intuitive. I don't have to pretend to be decrepit.
Could you ever see yourself on stage just as Tobias without any sort of persona and without any costume even? No.
No, not as Ghost. This is a theatrical show. You will always get a theatrical show. Whether or not it's going to be Papa Emeritus the 18th or not, that's the question.
I was curious to know, like, what's the most common thing, like, when a fan meets you? What do they say to you?
You're not as tall as I thought.
Okay. So a lot of that at the meet and greets.
Yeah.
So in terms
Luckily,
of the
I don't have a fucking complex about it.
Oh, you don't?
It sounds like what you said, circular things, you know, we see spiral galaxies, everything is in a circular way. So things come, they go, and you just have to evolve and stay relevant with it, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think to try to carry with you a certain amount of elasticity and not be as firm in your ways. I try to be a control freak, or I am what you call a control freak. But just because I'm a control freak does not mean that I'm in control. It just means that I'm a freakish about having control.
It's that desire.
And that desire, because I like to do things my way. But I've also learned that almost nothing that I plan go the way that I plan. It always ends up being a different version of what I had in mind. What I know now, just because I'm somewhat successful doing it, is that it usually turns out quite okay. And as long as I have it on my to-do list, I can perfect it later. But I did not know that before. When I had all the time in the world to come up with my schemes and plans, because I had nothing better to do, I was not successful at all. Then it was easier to sort of have a hard, firm, 100% this is my plan and this is exactly how things are gonna pan out. And then when it didn't, it felt like then you got to go back to the drawing table and it felt like a big defeat. Whereas now it's like, compare it to war, maybe tasteless in this time and age, but if you want to compare it to, it's like being a general in a war, you have to have an end goal. Yeah, we're taking that fortress over there. I don't really know exactly how. I have 5 different plans of getting there. I just know that we might take that village as well. We might lose that village, but at the end of the day, my hope is for us to controlling that fortress, and I want to control that harbor. But you have to be pretty elastic when it comes to retreating, giving, taking, and losing some, winning some, and all that.
No doubt. In terms of the touring process, I mean, when you're constantly on tour so much, I'm curious, is it more so work or more so enjoyable at this point for you to be on tour?
On this tour, it's actually been quite relaxed, I must say. We have been in a quite good place. We've been in a phenomenal place where not to suggest that it was worse before, but where our music business, our music industry has taken an enormous hit by what happened the last couple of years. It has also meant that a lot of people from the business has either quit, they're not in it anymore. Some of them have died, and some of them are so far are out of touch with everything that's going on that they cannot tour. So we were lucky that we were able to assemble basically our dream team of crew. Like our favorite persons in the world basically came out on this one. And that has meant a lot to us going out on tour because we have super positive vibes. Everybody's just super happy to be out working again and just thrilled to be part of it. Whereas the music industry and the world of crews, unfortunately, used to be quite a lot of bitter people who were like discontent with their lifestyles and all that. And it seems like we have a bit of like a reset on that one. that feels really cool. Right now, there's a lot of excitement about the record, which feels fantastic. We still have a lot of things to achieve, and when it comes to ramping up the tour, this was the tour that we're on right now is obviously like a co-headline 3-album tour, so it's not going to be everything. It's still much work in progress. So I'm looking forward to a lot of those things. I'm looking forward to finally announce some Canadian shows. Just because we haven't done it so far does not mean that we're not coming. It means that we're coming, but we haven't announced it yet. So I'm looking forward to do that. So right now it feels like I'm super excited. And in my head, I'm also like scheming a new record, and that feels fun. So I have nothing to complain about. It's living the dream. Who knew this? Great. When I was 25, I was very far from this.
I was just wondering, like, what do people expect from the full tour when you're actually just the Ghost tour? Can you give us any insights?
Yeah, I mean, right now, obviously, this is a co-headline tour, so we're splitting up. We play 75 minutes each. That's 1 hour and 15 minutes. That's very little. So it's a very short show right now. We're not doing a ton of material from the new record. We're basically relying a lot on the old, like the hits, if you will, the bangers, because this was basically a re-establishing tour. It was more to get fans out and say that, look, we're back. We're doing what you're used to seeing us doing. Look, life is normal somewhat. Thank you for coming. And further on in the cycle, it's going to be a lot more new material. We're going to try to excavate a lot of the songs that we really haven't played that much before in the future. We couldn't do this on this tour because we're playing 1 hour, 15 minutes. You can't do like 3 instrumentals and, all the oddballs. So it's, I'm looking forward to sort of try to recreate the show a little as we go along, but it will alter from tour to tour, I believe, a little.
Beautiful. Well, we're really excited for it. The new album, Impera, is out everywhere on March 11th. And Tobias Forge, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I wish you guys a happy day.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I want to give a huge thank you to Tobias Forge of Ghost for taking the time to chat with myself and Joe while on tour, while on the road. We know it's no easy feat, but I'm really glad we got to talk to him, man. I mean, this was a really cool one, I think.
Same here, man. Like my first time I remember exactly like the first time I heard Ghost. It was such a strange, I was driving. I remember it was like an summer evening, and like, Montreal radio, like they don't always have like, good rock and stuff, so I'm like, it just happened to like, what is this? This sounds really good. Like, so I cranked it and I'm like, hey, this is not something that we normally hear on Montreal radio, like this is like rock, but yet with a different vibe, anyways, I was very impressed with it. And like, they blew up from that album onward, like, and I've enjoyed their stuff. I haven't seen them live though. Have you gotten to catch them live?
I've got to see them live. Yeah. Just, they put on a really long show. Like it's almost a 3-hour show and just phenomenal. The one thing I learned, because I did like theater and stuff growing up, as I think many people did. And one of the things they would always tell you is that the telltale sign of a great performer is if the person literally stays in character until they're completely backstage. Like you don't see them drop character as the one leg is going behind the curtain. They're completely in character. And that's Tobias, like from beginning, middle to end to when he's walking to and from the stage, fully in character. And interesting too, I mean, one of the only bands I think that's still around where there's members that we actually don't know their identities. Like they haven't been caught. I don't know if there's any other band that still has that.
That's why I was like surprised a bit when like he said he's a control freak and that there's other people that write something. Well, I thought it was all him. I honestly, like you said, because we don't know the faces, you just think they're hired guns, right?
That's the thing, right? And I mean, we don't even know at this point, like, I think who's been in the band for how long, because it's just all they're a nameless ghoul. So I mean, it is fascinating. I think they're definitely probably one of the more unique bands I would say of today. And another thing you mentioned, which I think was really cool, we sort of chatted about this off the air, is that he's well aware that he's very blessed to have the success he's had in rock, and it probably won't last at this level. He's well aware of this.
Yeah, that was interesting because like he said here, he's conscious of the fact that they're not a new band. They've been touring for 12 years already, but people haven't heard them, that, they haven't had maybe the mainstream success that they needed, so if to everyone, it's like, oh, that's a new band, but they have a great catalog. And it's like you said before about like the performance thing, I was actually surprised we see interviews without the mask, or like without being covered up, that you see him as he is, but like, because you asked him in the interview, would you ever see yourself performing not without Papa, right? And he's like, nope. Mm-hmm. It's always in character.
And he was firm on that and quick. Like there was no hesitation, which was sort of, surprising, because I figured since we get some of the interviews too, maybe we would get acoustic Tobias one day, but I guess not.
You never know, right? You never know. Like
he might change his mind. He can do that.
Yeah, that's it. One thing I like is like when he said that, like, because he's a known control freak, because he wants to keep the quality and everything, up always at a high bar. But I love that he said, doesn't mean I'm in control, that I'm always in control. It's like I'm freakish about having control.
Yeah, it doesn't mean he always gets what he wants, which, again, I love that, because that's a good point. I mean, just because you want something or you're addicted to it doesn't mean you can always have it.
Well, that's it. Like, it's life, right? You don't know what's going to happen. So he's like happy with what he has now. He said at 25, I would have never pictured that I would be here, Another interesting thing was, like, you mentioned the circularity of life and religion. He mentioned a lot about religion and stuff, and circularity of life. Things come in circles. And it's interesting because it's an observation I'd made myself personally. Like, galaxies, you see them always in spirals. You see this is in spiral, so like patterns come back, so it's like, it was interesting to hear it from his perspective,
Oh my gosh, yes, and he's a very analytical thinker, and I think he's one of those guys, like, it doesn't matter if it offends him or if he doesn't like what he's coming up with. Like, if these are the facts, these are the facts. And I think a lot of people like to sugarcoat things to either make themselves feel better or to make the situation seem better. I don't think he's that guy. He seems to be very just cut and dry. Here's the facts, and sort of the whole facts don't care about your feelings mentality, so to speak. I could definitely see that.
Yeah, that's it. And like he was even saying, like, with the pandemic and everything that happened, that the music industry took a beating, right? Like, so a lot of people either moved on, went on to other things because they had to. A lot of people quit. A lot of people passed on. But he was saying that this crew is his best crew in terms of just the vibe. But I mean, you're happy to be back at work. Everybody's happy to be back on the road. Yeah. Maybe, that things are sort of having a bit of normalcy. Shows are happening again. So I would, and then, he's touring with Volbeat, right? So it's like, it's like a big show, right? So it's like, of course, I'm glad to hear that, like, people are happy to be back on tour and to be, and that the crew is like in a good mood and stuff. Because you never know. Like, we don't see that the behind the scenes literally of these guys. You never know. Some people could just be, grouchy all day, and you don't want part of your team to bring everybody down.
Absolutely not. No, I mean, it must be a huge thing. And that's one of the things that I think impresses me most about the whole band effort nowadays is that, like, there's so many people just to be a solo artist, but to be a band, there's so many more checks and balances and approvals you have to go through. The amount of people you have to collaborate. So I think it's definitely, I think it's great. I think the whole rock is dead thing, Joe, that people always talk about, I think that one of the big nails in that argument is Ghost and guys like Ghost, and the fact that they're still inspiring that kid in that room out there to maybe one day grow up and pick up a guitar.
And not only that, but it's like what I like to call, it's not just mindless rock. There's thought behind it. Like you were saying, sure, it's a concept, but it's not like every song is a storyline and then, it's like a movie. It's more just an umbrella concept, or like, like you mentioned Iron Maiden, right? So let's say like Somewhere in Time was about, time and how time affects us and traveling through time and stuff. So I like that. I always like those like sort of topics or subjects, it doesn't have to necessarily be a story or like a film, or an act out like a play or anything, but like just the concept of what he's been doing. And it's interesting because he's been going through different eras of history, right? In terms of like, popes, I guess, and religion and stuff. So I love that kind of stuff, so I like to just watch it and learn from it. Like, that's kind of what, like, I learned a lot of history through Iron Maiden, bands like that actually, You know, Rhyme
Sabbath
of the
for
Ancient
me.
Mariner. Yeah, exactly. You know, like that song, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. What's that? Oh, it's a poem by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. You know, I would have never known that, you know, like if it wasn't for Iron
Exactly.
Maiden. So that's why I liked metal, because it wasn't it wasn't music talking about themselves. Sure, there is that, you know, like, but it was a storyline, you know, like, or there was like you know, in the lyrics, there's a story behind it, you know, so I always like that kind of stuff.
A grander scheme to things.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic. And I'm really happy that we had Tobias on the show. Really happy also that you guys came to check in with us on episode 64 of Innersleeve. If you like what you saw and heard, please make sure to click that subscribe button on all of our platforms. As you know, we're on YouTube and the SoundMojo official page, but we're also on audio platforms for anybody who doesn't know. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, and you can subscribe there as well. Catch Innersleeve on the go, on your way to work, at the gym. And we've been getting a lot of good reactions from that, haven't we?
Yeah, like we've been checking in you know, as I publish every week, and it's like, you know, we get a decent amount of downloads. We're like, wow, okay, you know, like we don't know sort of how did people discover this kind of stuff on Spotify and stuff like that. But it's been interesting, you know, like I was saying last time, it was like, wow, to hear people in New Zealand and like Australia and Denmark that are listening to us is really
It's
cool,
amazing.
you know? Yeah, we appreciate it. Yeah.
We certainly do. And also make sure to check out all those links below for these social pages. We have On This Day in Music every single day, so do not miss those. We put a lot of work into them. And until next time, thanks so much for checking in with us right here on Innersleeve. We'll catch you guys next week.